Hello and welcome to the Euphonos Legacy League of Legends podcast. I'm your host Mikoy, and today we're going to be covering through Week 3 recap and Week 4 predictions. Let's get on straight into it and see what happened during the rest of the week. It is the midweek season, and every midweek season, everyone starts to worry about playoff contention and see who decides who will make playoffs, make it to semis, and eventually win this tour. They gotta get through 2 more weeks of hell. Let's go through with the matchups, shall we? So first off, we have True Psycho versus Hex in the first matchup in the Snivy of Spades versus Up Darmani Down, where Snivy of Spades absolutely dominated. 6-2, what a victory. True Psycho versus Hex starting things off in the multi-gen OU. And this is the team right here. Both of them bringing fairly standard OU teams that turn the test of time for both of them. And so things are going to be happening very, very shortly. So I feel bad for Hex in this matchup. Not only in the matchup in this one, but in the matchup following after. Because Hex got kind of screwed here, and it's already just one Mon that really decided it for both these games, which was Cortana. But it started off fairly well for Hex really early on. First of all, Landorus beat True Psycho's Landorus with Hidden Power Ice. Then Magirna beat Volcarona's Fairy Z to beat that thing, and then Charizard Mega X was paralyzed before eventually Magirna fell to the Flare Blitz from Charizard, sacking it along with it. So Hex was firmly in the lead shortly after. Then things started to go wrong with Tapu Koko because Reflect, and then it was going for screen. It was set up Reflect, but Superior had Light Screen, so all was not lost. But Rotom did kill the Tapu Koko with a crit Hydro Pump, causing him to falter just a little bit. Ultimately, though, that decided it, because Superior ultimately missed the Leaf Storm on Kartana, potentially. Kartana, yes, it would quad resist the Leaf Storm, but it is Kartana still. That thing is frail as frick. So Superior would have an easy time killing it, or at least do major damage to it, so it wouldn't come back later. But then again, since it missed, Hex really can't do anything. Also, Glare wasn't affected because it was trying to glare at something, but Electric Terrain was still up, meaning that, or no, not Electric Terrain wasn't up, because Rotom was an electric type. Thought the switching would happen? No. This thing, Superior didn't get the chance to do its glare and paralyze potentially a dangerous fast threat in Greninja or Kartana, so it got flinched for its punishment. And then, Hex just had a really bad time with Kartana shortly after, because after the fact, he was trying to go for Leaf Blade. True Psycho was hell-bent on locking it into Leaf Blade, but a crit kill on Manaphy, despite having Rindo Berry, to possibly tank one hit. Kartana ultimately crit through that, and then ultimately Hex forfeited, which was really bad. It was a very bad series of unfortunate events that cost Hex this first game. And he started off really good too. Same with Gen 8. He started off really good, paralyzing the Urshifu, and even the Landorus got sacked to the Zapdos had to be sacked to the Landorus because of the earthquake. But he still had momentum on his side. The O-Code Urshifu with the Draco Meteor after all. And then he got luckier still with Melmetal. Yes, it was paralyzed, but it was a very good thing. I mean, look at that. Melmetal got to live off a hit with the flamethrower. ultimately killing the Dragapult with an earthquake. That was nice. But then came problems. First of all, the Dragapult died to a Buzzwole switch in, which was bad. Tapu Lele got to kill off the Buzzwole before eventually Kartana once again became a threat. 1 and 4, reverse sweeping Hex because his mons were too low. On the health wise, Urshifu died to an Oko. Tapu Lele could not speed it because this was scarfed, and so is Melmetal. So True Cycle ultimately won. Very unfortunate game for Hex there. He really could have, maybe he could have played better, but then again, the matchup wasn't very kind to him, and also luck wasn't very kind to him. So yeah, this was very unfortunate. True Cycle picking up a win. Hex really needs to win something for once. Next up is the other multi-gen OU. We got Dunox versus Alpha. So we start off with Gen 6, and Alpha actually looked pretty good, especially in this first game with Gen 6, because he looked strong, setting up the rocks and taunting Garchomp, only doing Rock Tomb, and then used Defiant Bisharp and actually getting to sweep a bit. He swept half of Dunox's team very consistently, even using Brick Break to beat, Knockoff to beat out Ferrothorn. And then, of course, getting seeded along the way, losing that Sucker Punch mentality against the Volcanion. Why didn't he go straight for Knockoff? I don't know, but still, momentum was on Alpha's side here. Charizard ultimately beat the Tornadus, not with an Earthquake, but with the Flare Blitz. And then Aerodactyl managed to chip it a little bit. Superior set up the light screen to tank Volcanion's hits, beat it with a Leaf Storm that did not miss. Alpha won. And as we go through the gens, this time it was game 2. We do head to Gen 5 OU, where things happened. First and foremost, with Rotom missing a Will-O-Wisp, Latios ultimately punishing Rotom by killing it with Draco Meteor, losing to a Tyranitar Pursuit the turn after. And then came what was very similar to the Gen 7 game between Hex and True Psycho, both Landos ultimately setting up Hidden Power Ice, with Alpha's winning with a crit. So, Alpha was in the lead there for a little bit. Alakazam failed to kill Skarmory with Focus Blast, who continued to set up hazards and roost before Keldeo could eventually knock it off and kill it with a nasty crit Hydro Pump after setting up the ton of hazards against Dunox's side. Dunox, though, was undeterred. Alakazam missed the Focus Blast to allow Ferrothorn to just Gyro Ball the thing. And had Alakazam hit that Focus Blast, it would have probably killed Ferrothorn, because it managed to do 57. Got killed instead thanks to the knockoff. And Ferrothorn got to live that Surf to cause major chip damage to Latios before getting killed by it. And yeah, Tyranitar, of course, outspeeding, doing massive chip onto the Chocolate Berry T-Tar. Keldeo finishing it off with a Secret Sword to win for Dunox. And then Game 4, the silly game. Gen 4, the silly game, saw Azelf managing to paralyze Zapdos with a Thunder Wave, then exploded. But Zapdos lived to fight another day. But Dunox counteracted that with a nice little Earthquake, OHKOing the T-Tar right around there. Yeah, got to massively OHKO it. Then came Gyarados trying to do some things. Bulky Breloom there, managing to spore the living hell out of Gyarados, getting to tank it. And then Metagross came back out, came back in, and there's the things managing to Leech Seed stall Gyarados to death, allowing for Breloom to just spore the hell out of it. Using Metagross was Zapdos was sacked to allow Metagross to use agility. Didn't really pan out. The Skarmory was switched in, only to be trapped by Magnezone and Thunderbolt it to death. But it tried to explode, but Breloom was so physically bulky that Breloom must have been invested in defense quite a lot to be able to tank Gyarados and an exploding Magnezone. And then came Silly with Clefable, encoring Metagross to only doing Meteor Mash before Latios missing the Meteor Mash on it to allow Latios to just blast Metagross with a Hidden Power Fire, ultimately killing it. And yeah, Alpha kind of got robbed a little because Gengar was able to Shadow Ball it. Finished it off with a Dragon Pulse, ultimately losing for the win. Dunox picking up another win in an awful game. Yeah, I agree. It was pretty bad. Next up, we had Haha Gamer finally picking up a win over Velcroc in Kamove Chaos. And this one is kind of vindication for Haha Gamer after getting extremely bad matchups on the past 2 weeks. Finally got a decent one against Velcroc and actually brings a pretty good team in order to beat Velcroc. So first off, it started off pretty slow with Cresselia managing to poison the Regirock and get rid of hazards, burning it with the Beak Blast as a revenge sake. Still really didn't happen until turn 19, where the Pyro Ball from Roaring Moon absolutely blasted Slowking to death. Then Velcrox's Roaring Moon tried to become a threat. Well, Excadrill, first of all, was kind of a threat. Strength Sap, Pyro Ball, tidy up. Seems like a dangerous strat all the way. Then, yeah, this Velcrox Roaring Moon, after a while, got tricked into, tricking to get Cresselia the Scarf and gain the ability shield, but was trapped by a Thunder Cage, allowing it to be sacked. But Velcroc believed that still he was on momentum gain right here, but L-Taker's got a 6-4 lead at this point, and basically what L-Taker did was just chip. It just chip damage the thing. Roaring Moon got to beat the Excadrill with a Deadly Pursuit, and then Oak Code Mega Pidgeot with a nasty Aero Ball. After it beats Slowking, right around this turn, Roaring Moon got to blast the Mega Pidgeot with a Pyro Ball. Very nasty. Velcroc forfeited shortly after, and yeah. It was everything to gain for L-Taker. He really needed this win, and he got it. A very convincing win. So congratulations, L-Taker. Next up, we have SS Cap, where we got the Dex versus the Utah, the Clown. And just by looking at these teams, I already can tell who was going to win. It was already decided based on matchup. And I never doubted Dex's skill one bit. Because, well, the Utah got a little bit of luck on his side here. Where Heatran critted the Mandibuzz with an Eruption before killing it later on. Well, Dex kind of counteracted it with Pagentom, killing off the Argonaut first and foremost, and then Tornadus shortly after tanking this nasty Hurricane, which was very good, very nicely done for Dex. Landorus then beat Zeraora with an Earthquake. First of all, Tapu Koko, blah blah blah. Yeah, after going to bulk up a lot and ton times, he did try to close combat. Maybe try to catch a Ferrothorn switching or something. But nope, the Earthquake managing to kill the Zeraora. And it was just a Lando party from there. Lando just kind of swept everything else with Earthquake. I mean, Garchomp was going to die after tanking a Scale Shot. And then, after trying to survive with Ferrothorn, was able to knock off the Assault Vest from Slowking to allow Lando to just come in, kill the Slowking, and put an end to Utah's thing. And Dex ultimately won. So that was that. Next up is Gen 7 RU. Clem versus Gulch. Ooh, these teams. I mean, granted, Clem's team is kind of fairly standard. You see him a lot in Gen 7 RU, but Gulch. Look at you bringing in some unique things. A Glalie, a Barbaracle, a Noivern. Well, not really a Noivern, but Jellicent, maybe? Friggin' RU and making it work? I see a lot of Jellicent usage. I did see a lot of Jellicent usage for Gen 7 RU. So this was a thing. Clem's Raikou first and foremost defeated Fortress by multiple Thunderbolts. Then Gulch counteracted by tricking the Slowking's the Slow Bros Rindo Berry via Noivern. Very unique to get away from the grass type attacks, although he didn't really bring a grass type. Missing the Toxic, unfortunate for Clem a little bit. But Roserade managed to pick up the slack here. First of all, beating Noivern with the Poisonium Z encounter. Maybe he was trying to go for Uxie, but Noivern wasn't a bad shout. Fortress tried to chip, it beat Mega Glalie, but it got to chip Barbaracle huge with this Gyro Ball attack before losing to the Rockium Z. And yeah, things just kind of went peach for Clem here because Bullet Punch killed the Barbaracle. And then Jellicent got to burn Pangoro. But that friggin' hit. But that friggin' Scald was a crit. Got to burn it, so it wasn't long before Jellicent died. Pangoro also died, leaving Uxie to fight alone. Slowking Toxic poison it, slowly dying, and ultimately winning Clem the game off of that. So well done, Clem. Well done, Clem, for absolutely dominating there. Next up, we have Oras UU, one of the two victories for the Updarmani Down team, where we have Banbadoro proving himself to be quite the Oras UU commodity. Well, he already is. He's just doing better things by beating Ray. So, Nidoking, first and foremost, managed to Flamethrower Klefki, who was expected to switch out there, but continued to set up spikes, using Flamethrower instead of Earthfire, because that thing's magnetized. Then switched into Scrafty, who knocked off its Life Orb and killed Mandibuzz after Defog, and both players set up rocks the turn after. So again, Banbadoro putting all the momentum on his side a little. There's the multiple bulk ups, there's the multiple things. Even got to tank Mega Aerodactyl's Aerial Ace to beat it with Drain Punch. We got Jellicent burning Scrafty, who rested it off using that resto leftovers with Shed Skin. Prove itself well. And then, knockoff beat the Jellicent. And Banbadoro just kind of won based on matchup alone. Scrafty, way too dangerous. And yeah, that was a win for Banbadoro. Next up was Gen 5 Ubers, where we saw Kazin beat Madeline Morning Star. So, this one was, this started off really unfortunate for Madeline because Draco Meteor did not hit the Salamence by Rayquaza. Instead got to Outrage and lose to Outrage. And Darkrai, fortunately, made Kyogre fall asleep, giving Kazin quite the advantage. Arceus Ghost from Madeline's side beat the Darkrai after tanking its Dark Pulse, very well. Madeline started to make a little bit of a comeback by beating Deoxys with Genesect before Arceus Ghost was killed by that very Outrage, crit killing Groudon the next turn. Very unfortunate situation developing here. Groudon then finished things off by beating Kabutops and then beating Kyogre to win for Kazin. It was very luck heavy, but Kazin proved why he is the stronger player right then and there. And then for best of 5 DPP 1v1, the only 3 games set so far, I think, or maybe it happened in week 1, I don't know. But Nuxel beat Stravench, or in this case, Nuxel's DPP rival, in a clean sweep. Very clean sweep in DPP 1v1, winning 3 straight games in a row. First off, Swampert beat Raikou. Nice little Aura Sphere, nice little chip there to start things off. Then, number 2, game 2, where we saw the Zen Headbutt ultimately beat Heracross with a Zen Headbutt. And then game 3, we saw Raikou versus Rhyperior, and you decide what that hidden power is. It could be water, it could be grass, it could even be ice for all I care, but Nuxel blasted and OHKO'd Rhyperior and ultimately made the Snivy of Spades a 6-2 dominant win in a very, very good showing here. So next up, we have the Radioactive Slagoo Project defeating General Luna Law. And we start things off with, I think, the first game. Yeah, the first series in this whole week. Memphis Depay beating Hori. We start with Gen 7. And, this one had some things happen. First of all, Kartana was burned. Kartana was stopped, actually. It was burned by Gastrodon very early on. But Magearna had some other plans and revealed Heal Bell to heal off the burn, despite losing its Shuca Berry in the process thanks to Mega Venusaur carrying Knock Off. Seismitoad and Ground DMZ failing to kill Mega Venusaur, living on that thing. Managed to set up hazards though, as Skarmory was left setting his own hazards before Mantine eventually defogged it away because it was getting too much. There were just too much hazards for them to handle, and I'm glad Mantine has carried boots here. Mantine and OU. Never underestimate Mantine and OU. Both players then continued to set and defog hazards while toxicking very consistently. It was just a toxic fest all around until Gastrodon beat Seismitoad with an Earthquake before Memphis eventually forfeited. It was not the... Well, there was a high jump kick miss, but that really didn't matter. Well, actually, no, it did. It did kinda, because Memphis Depay would have gotten a kill off of Skarmory, and it would have been much more tipped in Memphis's favor, but unfortunately it wasn't. There's Seismitoad getting killed off. There's Cresselia getting killed off first and foremost. And then Hori just continued to play well. continued to play better, continued to play like he did back in the day, well, back in the early parts, and beat Memphis Depay in kind of an even contest. A slow one, but an even contest nonetheless. Next up is Generation 8. Lando managed to avoid a T-Tar's Rock Blast attempt, but got burned by Rotom right here, even missing a Toxic on Tornadus, which was very unfortunate. Right around here. Would have been nice to get a regen buff off of Tornadus like that. Weavile was an Iron Barbed by Ferrothorn, Rocky Helmet. Kind of just lost to its chip a little. Managing to kill, though, Tyranitar with a nice shard before losing to Rapid Spin Excadrill in Sand. Not before chipping it, though, with a nice shard, which was very nice. Tornadus then played with Rillaboom quite a lot afterwards, trying to set up that grassy terrain, and yeah, the endgame just saw Tornadus just kind of dominate the rest of the field. Dragapult wasn't safe to come out, and Rillaboom ultimately died, constantly chipping it. Ferrothorn, sucking Ferrothorn to be able to kill it. And then Primarina was taunted to prevent itself from calm-minded a lot and potentially doing a reverse sweep. So Rotom was able to kill it, ultimately win. Nice one for Memphis Depay. I really like that sequence with Tornadus and Ferrothorn just double teaming to beat Rillaboom. That was nice. And then we saw Generation 9, the tiebreaker. The little tiebreaker that could, and it went about as expected as you thought. Walking Wake missed the Draco Meteor, and then Zapdos, Terra Steel, hey, good one. Missed a T-Wave attempt though, against the Sub Kyurem. And then it all-code Walking Wake with a crit Freeze Dry, which it wasn't going to survive that anyway. So Goldango, though, or he tried to counteract it by using Goldango, using the Trick It, and obtain the leftovers. Zamazenta continued to set its Iron Defense against the Corviknight, who also used Iron Defense. And Body Press as a bunch, tanking a lot. But the Body Press ultimately killed Zapdos, who was a sack. And then came the big boy, Ogerpon, who managed to, really do some damage. First to the Tinglu, and then to the Zamazenta, and then to the Great Tusk. Ba-bam. Ultimately, that was the deciding factor, and Hori forfeited Memphis Depay with a dominant third game win. Next up, we have Waffle versus Blazing Cloud. First of all, we had Generation 6, which I believe was played first. If not, then I don't know. Well, I noted it first because the next game was actually played on Showdown and saved as a replay instead of, using replay.pokemon.showdown.com, please. Well, first off, we saw Rotom tricking the trick onto the Slowbro using the Charge Scarf to gain leftovers. Blazing continued with the advantage, though, by killing off Latios with Mega Metagross with Pursuit. Even flinching Volcanion with a nice Zen Headbutt later. However, Waffle started to come back a little. First, Weavile was able to beat the Tornadus, got rid of the Rocky Helmet, and even even the fact that there was multiple switching in between, you got to knock off Superior's Chesto Berry before ultimately dying to its Leaf Storm, so it couldn't really rest well. Bullet Punch would ultimately fell Superior thanks to Mega Scizor. Slowbro then critted Excadrill right around here with a nasty Scald, leaving Metagross alone to fight how many? 4 things, and 2 of these things can hit it with super effective moves. Yeah, it wasn't too good for Metagross. It would basically got chipped to shoot, and Scizor just kind of, became the ceiling factor, and then ended the deal for little old thing. Then came Gen 4, which was not very long at all. It was not very long at all. Also, I'm recording this on April Fools. Can you tell? Where really the big thing that happened. Okay, I should probably play it the right way. So, it really just was a very short game with only one mon to. It really came down to just one mon doing its thing and doing it well, and that was Gyarados. Gyarados ultimately swept through with Dragon Dance. A hard switch on Celebi forced it to D-Dance, and ultimately froze Celebi with a nasty Ice Fang. Thawing out, though, and getting a switch in because it was natural cure. And then, Gyarados set up a ton of Dragon Dances, ultimately waterfalling against a Zapdos, which was risky, but what can you do? Ice Fang would have been risky, but still, it just got to sweep a lot. Rhyperior died, and Celebi died, and everything else died to Gyarados. It was not a very short game. It was not a very long game at all. Well done. Next up, oh boy, Class versus THR. This matchup was a thing. It was a thing that existed in only the minds of the Cam of Chaos people. So, first off, we got Class, who poisoned THR's Naganadel with his Mega Latios, and then slowly chipped at it until it failed to kill Raging Bolt in return, with a U-turn. So right here, we saw the Naganadel doing its thing, trying to cause a lot of damage, but unfortunately, it was just way too chipped. And also, Lapras was fire ground, so it really couldn't do anything there to stop that. And Raging Bolt survived its attacks, killed it with a U-turn, and then things happened shortly after. Actually, I lied in saying that not 100. And I was thinking to myself, not one of these games went over 100 turns. I was wrong. This went extreme 100 turns. Mega Latias then trapped Cresselia after both set up hazards. And after killing it, Rapid Spin those very hazards away against Blissey. And yes, it was very, very slow motion kill, but still managed to kill it. It just took a while. Mortal Spin, getting to spin away hazards against Blissey. Class then set up rocks with Stone Axe, killing the Mega Pidgeot. And after multiple attempts of Class trying to catch THR with Roaring Moon, after trying and failing a lot, It finally happened at turn 140. Yes, this took a while, ladies and gentlemen. Class was even commenting on a lot of things like, F off, whatever, it's fine. And yeah, turn 140, he finally got to catch it. He just wanted the good positioning and got to kill off the Vulcanian with a nice bolt strike. Euphonos then went on to finish Colossal at the end before THR forfeited to win the game. Yeah, I was rooting for Class to just end it. End the thing with the Zui region. And that actually gave Class a little bit of a boost because, my God, the man and his team needs more wins like this. And they did. And they did so with gusto. When the next matchup was Concept Everything defeating Uwu in SS Cap. Uwu brought Sun, which would make Pokeyard very, very happy. But Concept Everything was just too good at his job. First of all, Blissey managing to tank both Blacephalon and Venusaur's fire-based moves against him, because that's how powerful this egg boy is, or egg girl in this case, doing only half damage on the other side. And that's a +2 boosted Venusaur. Okay? So Zapdos got toxic and missed Hurricane on a Jumbao switch in, but made Venusaur fell to Life Orb while tanking its Weather Ball with Argonaut. So that's well done played. There's your Sun Sweeper falling, always falling. Zapdos was then sacked, but not before paralyzing Victini, who then fell to Argonaut while Terrakion went on to kill Jumbao. And then it was just Tapu Lele ending the end game for Concept. Got to sweep off. It was trying to catch a Focus Blast along the way. Ultimately didn't, and ultimately failed. Lele and Melandris both fell to Tapu Lele, and he won the game. Next up, we had LBN beating Seth in Gen 7 RU. And this was really funny because all Gen 7 RU games actually were played one after the other. So that was really funny to see. And was LBN trying to go for monocolor as well? After looking at this, was he trying to go monocolor? I don't think he was, because Yanmega and Noivern are not blue, but still. I guess Tangela counts as green as well, but still. It was just really funny in seeing that. So, yeah. It was not also a very... It wasn't a very long game as well. I just didn't really have notes for this one, because it was just kind of expected. Seismitoad got into Toxic Donphan, brought Tangela against Mega Sceptile, which was really funny. Tanking a Leaf Storm, which was equally funny. And then the star of the show, the MVP, so to speak, the Yanmega came in, did huge damage to Metagross. And even critted and did huge damage to Mandibuzz, which killed it eventually. And then O-Code Salazzle later with a hidden power ground. And yeah, despite getting to do that, and then, it lived a Donphan's Ice Shard to do the Flying Yimzy attack and ultimately killed Donphan. And then, yeah, it was just very basic win for LBN here, because Ninetales lost to a Toxic from Tangela, was able to use that. Well, not toxic per se. It was just sludge bomb. It was just basically died to poison, and then Yon Mega was brought back in to beat Mega Sceptile to win for LBN. Again, very standard, very bog standard hyper offensive RU. Nothing really right to write home about. So it was just a well played game by LBN. Seth really struggling in this poll. Never thought I'd see that. Next up, we have one of the highlight matches of the week, and I'm happy to report that this did not disappoint at all. It was actually a very good game. Lyra versus Toy Time King. Although I did misjudged in my prediction, saying, "Hey, Toy Time King may win," but I'm not. I won't be surprised if Lyra wins. Lo and behold, Lyra wins, and I'm not really that surprised. But it was a very well played game from both players here. First off, you got Lyra, who managed to net the first kill with Sylveon, despite being paralyzed by the Thunder Wave, was able to beat Cresselia using the nice hyper voice to crit it and killed it. But that's not everything that Sylveon did. Oh no, you thought that was it? No. Managed to survive a Seismitoad's earthquake right there to rest and heal off all its health before doing the funny thing, which was snore. Yeah, it's rest snore Sylveon making an appearance. Chipping Cabalion before beating it with a hyper voice, which was nice. It was nice to see. Like that is also tanking the freaking Iron Head, which I kind of expected, but yeah, that was still very impressive. Meanwhile, Sceptile missed a potential road killer in Focus Blast against Steelix, who beat it later with Heavy Slam. So Toy Time King did get haxed a bit, but it was really that Sylveon that put pressure on his team. And yeah, Lyra just continued to outpace TTK for the rest of the game, using Jellicent as a major thing, a major component, because he really only had Crobat, Seismitoad, and Florges. Also, yeah, this is over, he said. It was just a good game all around for both players. Toy King shouldn't be disappointed. He was putting up a fight against Lyra. So it was a very good showing for him. He looks strong in defeat, and I can't wait to see the potential rematch between these two further down the line. Next up is one of the last games that was played. We have Bread Sandwich beating Society. The last game that was played. And it was funny that it ended off on this. So, Espeon tricked Dialga with Choice Scarf, while Ho-Oh beat Deoxys with Sacred Fire. So, Society was put through the ringer a little bit. Bread, though, counteracted with Kyogre, who crit killed Espeon right here. Society really should have taken advantage of that magic bounce that he has, because he has that and could easily bounce back hazards when Bread wouldn't mean to. But Bread's a good player. Don't underestimate Bread. He's a good player in this. So yeah, Palkia then used Substrats to beat Dialga with not only pressure to try and beat this Dialga with Draco Meteor, who kept losing 2 PP instead of 1 for Draco. You need to survive another sub, putting up another sub, and ultimately causing Dialga to struggle, even though it tried to go for Thunder Wave, but it was very clear that Society needed to sack this so that it dies. So yeah, very, very interesting turn of events. Then came the very, very thing where Bread ultimately turned this game around in his favor after Ho killed the Giratina, after Giratina killed the Groudon. Kyogre missed a Hydro Pump, but later hit twice on Ho and Blaziken in order to kill both, leaving Arceus all alone to lose to Omastar. That's right, Lord Helix actually decided this game by being faster than God himself, proving to him why he is the Lord Helix and won against Arceus. So that was very poetic, very funny way to end this to end this week, is that the Lord and Savior Helix beat God. So yeah, that was funny. But what was equally as interesting was this best of 5 DPP 1v1 series between Burn and RTM. This was fun. This was actually a very fun best of 5 series, and I'm glad. I'm glad that this ended up being a best of 5. So first off, in game 1, we saw the legendary birds go at it, Moltres and Zapdos. And guess who won? In the fly-off between the birds. It's the Firebird versus Electric Bird. Gee, I wonder. Then game 2, which was even more interesting, I would say, because Celebi tried to do a big strat involving Swords Dance Giga Impact. I don't know if that's actually a viable set or not, but Raikou just kind of steamrolled through it by using... Hell if I know what hidden power it is. Could be bug, could be fire, could be even poison for all I know. But still managed to beat Celebi. Then game 3, we saw the Cresselia tried to use Grass Knot against the T-Tar, who just took a hit like a champ and just beat it with Crunch. Remember that rock types get a 50% boost off of special defense during Sandstorm. So RTM won that. But game 4 and 5 went well for Burn. First off is the Empoleon living a Metagross's Earthquake to kill it with a Hydro Cannon. I don't think it's Sash because it never revealed it, but still, it lived an Earthquake in general to be able to kill it. And then came the end where the game 5 saw the paralyzing of the Zapdos by Rotom. I think RTM genuinely forgot that it's not Motom Grass Tom. It's normal ass Electric Ghost Rotom in Gen 4. I don't know if you forgot or just, he was just so used to seeing Motom be Electric Grass that it's easy to forget that. But in Gen 4, it was just Electric Ghost. So, yeah. Burn ultimately won, but it was not enough, as they couldn't even muster a tie between Lunalas and the Sligoos. And then we saw the last matchup. We have the Urban Dubwool beating Apom Hiking Society. And I think this knocks out the latter team from playoffs contention. Even though they put up quite the good fight, I don't think it's enough for them to make playoffs. Unfortunately, maybe we'll check that later once we get to the actual, looking at the standings. But, yeah. Let's just see how it happens. First off, though, we had Miyoko versus Ineros in the best of 3 multi-gens. And it went to 3. So, well, let's see what happens. First off is Gen 8, where Ineros brought, oh boy, the stall with Cortana, and Miyoko brought something standard. Standard. Miyoko's Landorus first beat Inaros' Landorus, and then knocked off Clefable's own life orb before exploding because it did its purpose. Clefable just said, nah, ball it, we heal. Tapulele then beat Corviknight with Focus Blast, with a nice little Focus Blast after roosting. And then it was the battle of the zones. Magnezone came in, and tried to do its thing, and both just set up Iron Defense and Body Press. Eventually, Magnezone was able to kill. Inaris' Magnezone was able to kill Miyoko's with its own, surviving that. Couldn't survive an Earthquake though, even at +4, but it was on red health. Magnezone and Clefable both lost to the guard Chomp. That was also not unaware Clefable. It's actually Magic Guard Clefable because it revealed Life Orb. Then Tapu Lele then beat Toxapex with Shy Shock, and Tapu Fini beat the Kartana. So Miyako making good use of their Tapus against Inaros' little thing. Ultimately winning for Miyako. Gen 7 was next. So first off, we had Mega Medicham failed to kill Lando with a Rocky Helmet, who set up rocks before succumbing to it the next turn. Then Tapu Koko then beat Mega Medicham with a nice little Thunderbolt, beating that. While Heatran kind of just counteracted by beating Greninja. And then Inaros just won the game with Mega Medicham sweeping through Heatran, sweeping through Toxapex, and just generally being an overall threat. And then came Game 3 with Gen 9. So, Ting-Lu managed to beat Primarina with an Earthquake, a double Earthquake, which a low roll then a high roll Earthquake. But Ruination kind of missed. Well, it did. It missed on Great Tusk, but it hit on the Gliscor, who beat it despite the Rocky Helmet chip, and then lost to Dragon Pulse, Dragon Darts. Ugh. And then Dragon Pulse is kind of O-code. Great Tusk and Iron Valiant managed to sweep pretty much everything else. Okoi critting Zapdos, sweeping the rest for Miyoko to just win the game. So it was a very eventful Game 3. Things happened, but Miyoko ultimately pulled away with a win. Take a shot for every time I say things happened in this damn tour alone. I say it a lot. So, next we come to Jack Hustler versus Shing, and I was kind of impressed that it went to 2 games, but also, very unfortunate. I thought Shing would take at least one of these, but Jack really showed that he's the dominant force in this multi-gen OU between 4, 5, 6, because he's goated at this. So, Gen 4 starts off with Zapdos managing to Toxic Swampert, and then after both set up hazards, well, Jirachi then used Grass Knot to beat Swampert, and then Ice Punch Oko critting Dragonite. So, wow, that is a very, very strong turn, and couple of turns for Jirachi of all things. Oof. Gengar then burned Bronzong, who exploded to Jirachi, but since the burn was just, affecting Bronzong so much, Starmie then Rapid Spin before losing to Lucario, very uncommon Pokemon in Gen 4 OU nowadays. After Flygon beat it with Thunder Punch, Jirachi was kind of fortunate, missed the Thunder. in order to lose to Gengar's Shadow Ball. And then Flygon just took care of the rest, though, because it was able to beat Jirachi by Earthquake, ultimately winning for Jack. And then Gen 6. Yikes. What happened here? First off, Bisharp, despite being paralyzed, beats Superior with a nice sucker punch. Didn't get paralyzed at all, as a true non-paralyzed mon should do. And after Seismitoad and Tornadus Thunderous came out, it was burned, and then, Seismitoad fell to Thunderous, who fell to its burn from Scald. Superior then glazed Latias. I wish I could glaze Latias. No, it's glared Latias before lose to Draco Meteor. And then came Shing's, tried. He really did try to do a good thing here. Because Latias used Healing Wish to heal off Mega Scizor and just tried to do some good things. Bisharp tanking Bisharp's attacks, getting to SD Bug Bite, beat it. But Volcanion managed to take care of it, beating that and beating Excadrill, and then beating Volcanion with a Steam Eruption in order for Jack to just win the game. So yeah, good win for Jack. Good win for Jack at all. Next up is quite the surprise. We finally got to he finally got to show some teeth in this. Advata versus Banded Body Press in Kamove Chaos. So, we start with Cresselia managing to trap the Rheaniclus by poisoning it with Mortal Spin, trapping it with the Thunder Cage, critting it back with Torch Song. But Blissey's keeps stealing the boosts away with Spectral Thief, and then Dragapult just kind of finished it off later with a Dragon Hammer, a Gigaton Hammer, to beat that thing. And then Colossal did the flip turn off of Alomomola right there. And yeah, Dragapult just was a massive threat to BBP's team. It beat Alomomola here with a nice little freeze dry. And yeah, it was just saved at multiple points, and BBP just kind of had a bad matchup by the end, ultimately failing and forfeiting to Advata's team. Very well played. Very well played. Next up, we have Earth Flax versus Ming. And Ming did not win because he had some very unfortunate circumstances. So, Ming had bad luck with Focus Blast early on, missing one with Tapu Lele against Equilibra, and then Ferrothorn getting O-Code by one by Earthflax's own Tapu Lele later on. So really, it was just a problem there. Then came one of the most unique strats. Well, one of the most unique strats. It would be stupid to do this, but considering that, these men are built like Pokemon themselves, much like the Pokemon they're used to, Magnezone had an air balloon. It also has Magnet Rise. What? Well, there's a purpose. It avoided Equilibra's Earth Power very nicely. It prevented it from just going for the Earth Power. And yeah, It was just a good little setup, a good little try attacking. Even resisting its Doom Desire there. Used, well, it tried to use a Doom Desire with its own Equilibra, but used another unconventional thing that I don't see in a lot of Equilibras. It used Custap Berry Healing Wish. What? It was a nice pivot to Garchomp, who fully healed at the end of it, and just SD'd, and then just, you know, scale shotted the living frick out of Equilibra, dying to the future sight, sure, future sight Doom Desire, sure, but still, that was a brilliant turn by Earthflax. Really well played there, sir. Tapu Lele then outsped Ming's Tapu Lele to kill it with Moonblast, and Toxapex's knockoff got to kill off the Grozma. Hazy Weavile's SD before succumbing to its knockoff. Magnezone then killed Weavile with Body Press, and Rotom lost to Psychic at the end after missing that Hydro Pump, and Earthflax won. Very creative team, very creative build from Earthflax, and the things just work. Next up is Usum RU. We got Bull versus Notator, and remember what I said last week? Not to underestimate Notator? Well, some people did. Look what happened. Mega Camerupt went hard against Bull's team with good reason, because this thing was just weak to handle Mega Camerupt. Mega Camerupt had packed a lot of things. For example, Hidden Power Ice against the Flygon. Right here, it was actually not right here. Right here, yes, right here. Turn 26. Maybe I should have put that in my notes. Turn 26 when he hit the hidden 25 when he hit the Hidden Power Ice, and Bronzong tried to use Trick Room to make Mega Camerupt the fastest thing on the field instead of the slowest, and it just went ham. Mega Camerupt, the GOAT, beat and critted Florges with a Fire Blast before Hyperball eventually forfeited, and the rest of the matchup was just lost to Mega Camerupt. So, yeah. Notator picking up a solid win. Next up is Oros, Yu-Yu. We got Fiend versus Seru, the penultimate game in this series, week. First off, we saw Seismitoad burn the Crobat, critted Klefki, and burned Hydreigon, all with one move, and that is Scald. Yeah, Scald did all that. Before Seru's Crobat survived the latter's Draco Meteor, with Hydreigon only losing to Life Orb and Burn. Let me show you that turn right now because I fast-forwarded it a little too much. Right here, Draco Meteor from Hydreigon failed to kill Crobat, of all things, who ended up roosting away. And yeah, Hydreigon secured both the Life Orb and the Burn very nicely there. Fiend then set up rocks with Crook. And Gyarados used Lumberry to heal itself off from Toxic. However, unlike the previous game where we saw Gyarados munch a Celebi and freeze it, this time it just missed it completely before Celebi ultimately killed it with a Leaf Storm. So we saw both sides to the Gyarados versus Celebi argument, with hacks included. Then Mega Sharpedo just kind of swept the rest. Mega Sharpedo was too dominant, crunching the hell out of Empoleon, not going for an Earthquake, just straight up went for a crunch and killed the Empoleon. even beating Durant with a crunch, which I didn't expect. I thought it was going to go straight up waterfall. But still, very good thing. Ice Fang killing both Celebi and Night Dragon. So, yeah, good win for Fiend, utilizing Mega Sharpedo well. Then, the penultimate game, we saw a welcome guest, proving they're putting up a fight here. Like, a welcome guest is doing the whole, like, come at yeah, you British pub user, and beating Neomom in an okay match. Well, first and foremost, we saw Espeon brought down the Sash level, getting to yawn Ferrothorn and blocking its seed before losing to the Gyro Ball. Neomon then stacked hazards, poisoning the Palkia right around here. But Hoa managed to kill off Giratina in the midst of this, and took out Shaman along with it with Brave Bird. So yeah, both Giratina and Shaman both lost to the Hoa right here. And then Groudon just kind of swept through everything else. I mean, Tentacruel and Kyogre both died, paralyzing the Ferrothorn. It was just left to deal with Blaziken for the rest. And yeah, this was a welcome guests. Welcome to the Euphonos League. Here's your nice win. And it was a very nice win. Oh, how funny. All the 1v1 games also got posted one after the other. So, AM versus Dreepy was the final game in this set. And yeah, Dreepy won. Let's go through them one by one. First off was a very, very good game one. Was a very, very nice game one. Kingdra set up Rain, disabled Raikou Thunderbolt, leaving it to struggle because it's a Specs Raikou, and just chipped it with Surf a lot. So yeah, probably not use choice items because they will get disabled by things like Kingdra. I don't think a lot of Pokemon also run disable, so you should be scared of that. So next up is game 2, where we saw Dragonite versus T-Tar, the battle of the pseudo-legendaries again, coming at you again, both setting up the Dragon Dance. T-Tar moved first with Rock Slide, causing mega damage, living the hit from Dragonite's Outrage before it died to Sandstorm. So there's another win for Dreepy there. Game 3, you saw AM finally picking up a win with Heracross being burned by Entei's Lava Plume. Ultimately, AM won that. And then Tyranitar finished it off with Cresselia. Was there ever any doubt? It was a Dragon Dance. It was a crunch. Dreepy ultimately winning. So that was week 3 in a nutshell. Let's take a look at the standings to see who is in the lead, who is pretty much locked for playoffs, and who isn't. So first off, Apple Hiking Society, APOM Hiking Society, Dreepy's team, Iron Pikachu's team, 3 consecutive losses. You guys cannot qualify anymore for playoffs. Sorry, you put up a good fight, but after 3 straight 3-5s, I don't see a bright future ahead for the last 4, because you're facing off against Snivius Spades and General Lunala. Yikes. And especially facing off against the number 1 team this week. Yeah, I don't think they're gonna survive all that much. Meanwhile, on the opposite spectrum, Snivy of Spades pretty much guaranteed for as the top ranked leaders of the thing of Euphonos Legacy League. I almost called it TPP because this is basically TPP light. Um, the other matchup, the other two that are pretty much, yeah, they're going to go ahead is Urban Double versus uh the Urban Double and the Radioactive Sligoo project. They're pretty much also confirmed. They did have 5 points and they have strong 2-1 wins over the two. So this week 4 will decide who really gets to go second place against Snivy of Spades. If they manage to muster up a good, decent win over APOM Hiking Society, then that means they're first. And yeah, it's Urban. So this week it will decide which of these two will be ranked higher than the other one. So it really just depends on Armani Down and General Lunala's matchup. Well, not necessarily depends on their matchup, but they also need to fight it out because both of them are good. They have. It's just that Armani Down actually had a win, and if I were General Lunala, I'd be a little bit more scared because they're gonna fall behind in contention. So yeah, I'd say the top 3 are pretty much safe. The rest of the field, if they want to fight for that 4th spot, they have to, you know, prove themselves. And this week is going to be very crucial. It's week 4 after all. So everything just depends on this week alone to see who will be the ones moving on to playoffs. So, let's get to predicting, shall we? And how fitting that the second place and third place teams are fighting it out first and foremost. We have the Urban Double versus the Radioactive Sligoo Project. So, first matchup will be the man in best of 3 multi-gen OU. I think this actually happened. Yeah, this did happen. Damn it. I was gonna go into it and saying, it's Miyoko versus Hori. Who could win? This could be either way, huh? No. So, yeah, Urban Doubles Miyoko beat Sligoo's Hori, extending that lead now to a 3-1 for Miyoko, while Hori keeps us the relative 2-2. So, well done, Miyoko, for winning. I can't wait to see what happened this time. So, this is going to be fun. Next up, we have the best of 3 multi-gen OU between BYDY, who is competing for the very first time, against Blazing, who, judging from the last couple of weeks, they haven't really impressed. Well, to be fair, they did get some pretty hard matchups like Dunox and Shane, but they also lost to Waffle in very unspectacular fashion. So I'm not very confident in Blazing taking this, but so chances are I may be able to see a BD win. I am gonna predict BD, even though I don't really have seen them play, but they look experienced. They've been around since 2021. Blazing's been around actually joined last year, but has more reaction points, but still I'm not confident in Blazing taking this, so I am gonna go with BYDY on this, even though I have never seen them before. So, we'll see what happens. Next up is Cam of Chaos, the Dragon Master versus Class. These two should be familiar with each other at this point, because both players played each other a lot. Class is going into this with a 2-1, while Dragon Master finally obtained a win over Banded Body Press. It was just in the manner of, he did put up a decent fight. Advita did over BBP. But I think Class is going to take this. I think this is going to be just a reality check here. As much as Dragon Master wants to say that he's improved, I think Class is better. So I'm going to say Class wins. Next up is a matchup I'm kind of excited for. It's Ming versus Concept. And despite Ming suffering a setback last week, he's still like he admittedly got a little bit unlucky against Earthflax, especially with the team that he brought. Concept though has been playing very consistently, very well and very well paced. Played by Concept. He's a good player. Ming's also a good player, so this should be hopefully a good fun one to watch. And I am gonna go. This one's pretty hard to decide. This is actually more even than I thought. So I'm gonna go with Concept here, just because they look stronger over these past 3 weeks than Ming. I won't be surprised if Ming wins. Ming wins. There it is, Ming wings. Concept everything should win here, but I won't be surprised if Ming. There it is again, Ming wings. I'm gonna roll with it. Usum RU Hyperball versus LBN. I wasn't really particularly impressed with Hyperball's performance last week, so let's keep rolling. Let's go. Let's betting no. I don't know. I don't know what LBN stands for. What does it stand for? You badged user. LBN to win. Next up is Fiend versus Cheryl in Oras UU. Cheryl looks like he's joined a lot. He's been around since 2015. See, I'm not the oldest. Fiend, though, has been also for a very long time and has been consistently performing great. They've been great in this one. 3-0 right now, currently undefeated. We have yet to see what Cheryl can do, so I can't wait for this one. But I'll have to go with Fiend because they've been generally very impressive. Both in Usum RU and Oras UU, I think Fiend is just that very well versatile in both tiers. So I'm gonna say this is gonna be a Fiend win. Next one is Black and White Ubers, a welcome guest versus Bread Sandwich. Both won their respective games last week, and this one should be a fun one to watch. And yeah, both players showed that they can do pretty well in Black and White Ubers. They're giving this tier the props it deserves. This tier deserves to be praised after all. So I like it. I like this matchup a lot. I'm going to go with Bread Sandwich because they have been more impressive the past couple of weeks. I really like their playstyle. Welcome guest. Should perform decently, but I can't wait to see what happens. Next one is the best of 5 DPP 1v1. We saw a real account Ami versus Kanha Greninja. It's been around since 2023 and has done... Well, I haven't really seen them play, but I have seen Ami play, and Ami's good. Ami's good in DPP 1v1. I will admit. So I'm gonna go for them, even though I don't know who Kana Greninja is. Maybe they'll surprise me when they actually play, but I'll go with Ami. I'll go with Ami on this one. Next up is IPOM Hiking Society versus Snivy of Spades. First place team versus last place team. And no, that is not the other way around. So, first off, we have a Gen 3. Wow, best of 3 multi-gen OU. We have Ineros versus True Psycho. Psycho looks like he's cooked this time around. Ineros was good. He proved himself, even though despite losing in defeat. It was a very strong defeat, though, for Ineros, so I am not discrediting them one shape or another. They have had kind of an unfortunate, losing record here. They're winless. They've been competing in every week, and they're winless. So I feel bad for Ineros here, but True Psycho got a lucky win over Hex. I don't think that's going to... I don't think that's going to continue anytime sooner. I think Ineros should finally get his first win here. I am going to predict for Ineros, but True Psycho could always pull off a lucky one. I fully expect True Psycho to pull off a lucky one, but I think Inaros is going to take it. Next is Xing versus Dunox in best of 3 multi-gen OU, starting with Gen 4. Dunox has been pretty good. Xing doing all right for himself. I think the skill difference is going to matter here, and I think Dunox will win. Sorry, Xing. As much as I wanted to vote for you because you have a fun name, I think Dunox genuinely is the better player of the two. So, yeah. Next up is Cam of Chaos. Now, this should be fun. Banded Body Press versus the L Taker. This should be a really, really fun matchup. A very, very fun matchup between two very, very good Cam players. Banded Body Press proved well in weeks, but there are some weeks that he can falter. Haha Gamer also has finally found his footing after getting a strong first two opponents in the first 2 weeks. Finally picking up a win in the third. So both are coming in with quite big expectations here. I don't know who to pick. I really don't. Both this is too even for me to decide. But if I had to go with my heart, I will go with Haha Gamer. Although Banded Body Press could easily take this as well. So am I gonna stick with mine? I think I should probably stick. I will go with L Taker. I will go with L Taker to win. Banded Body Press can eat another loss, but still look strong in defeat. And yeah, this is just gonna be. Hopefully, this will be creative. Hopefully, they just don't bring Super Stall for the sake of Super Stall. And now that I say that, they're probably gonna bring Stall anyway, just to piss me off. But I think it's going to be Haha Gamer who takes this, but I won't be surprised if BBP wins. Next up, another very fun matchup to see. SS Cap, Dex versus Earthflax, and I was really impressed with Earthflax's team last week. That it's changed my opinion of him a little bit. Although this is Dex we're still talking about. Dex is good. Dex is very good. He's 3-0 right now, and I don't think that winning streak will stop anytime soon. As much as we want to root for Earthflax, Dex should take the win. Next up is Usum RU Notator versus Clem. This one should be fun. It's two very experienced RU guys fighting each other in a battle of death, blood, and guts. So, this one, again, I like to see this. I would like to see this live, actually. So I can, commentate and maybe make an appearance. See how these two think under extreme Usum RU circumstances. I'm gonna go. I like Notator's skill a lot, but Clem's been performing very well. You know what? Betting man instincts return. I'm going with Notator. Notator to win over Clem. I won't be surprised if Clem wins. I will be 100% not convinced if Clem wins. So yeah, Notator to win though. I'm going with Notator. I'm going rooting for the underdog. Oras, Yo-Yo. We saw Akiras versus Ray. Both been kind of middling. To be honest, Ray has been winless. Akiras, yeah, both are winless, and both have been middling so far in their performance in Oras UU, so I don't know exactly how this matchup will fare. I'll go with Ray, though, because they've had the better experience, and they look the stronger in defeat than Akiras. I don't think Akiras can handle that all too well, I'll be honest. So, I'm going Ray. Sorry, Akiras, but you seem good. But I need to see more good out of you. Black and White Ubers. We got Madeline Morningstar versus Vaporeons. Vaporeons. I don't know. I really don't know how his Black and White Ubers will go. He's a Dwarves main. And yet I still have no idea how he performs in this kind of environment. Madeline Morningstar is good though. It is a good first opponent though. He kind of got robbed last week, so I feel bad. So I'm going with them. I'm going with Madeline here because they did show in week 2 that they are capable of playing this tier and playing it to a decent level. Vaporeon's it's not that I don't have faith in Vaporeon's winning. It's just I think Madeline is the better player. Next up is best of 5 DPP 1v1 Dreepy versus Nuxel. I like this matchup a lot. Dreepy is undefeated, currently the only undefeated player in APOM Hiking Society, while Nuxel is one of 4 undefeated players. The other ones being Dunox, Dex, and Clem, who are also competing this week. So, yeah. Nuxel and Dreepy are great in DPP 1v1 so far. They've been, performing at a high level. Both players are absolutely giving it their all. And this one should be a fun one. I am gonna go... who to go for, honestly? You know what? I'm thinking Dreepy. I think Dreepy should take this in 5. It's gonna be a best of 5 series between these two unbeaten players, but I think Dreepy should take this in 5. So next up, we have the Up Darmani Down versus General Lunala. Gonna be a fun one. Gonna be a fun one. First off, we have the multi-gen OU between Meme Dose and Memphis Depay. Finally, Memphis Depay not no-joning, so I actually can predict a matchup of theirs. Yeah. This one should be a fun one. Meme Dose, they do better in other tiers. I don't think they'll do better. I don't think they'll do well here. Memphis Depay, though, very good player. Has been showing up quite the consistency and has been playing to a decent level here in the multi-gen. They seem very fun. They seem very comfortable with this tier, and they can absolutely shuffle around teams to make sure that they are well prepped. So I think Memphis Depay should win. Next up is Waffle versus Moralic in best of 3 multi-gen OU. I've heard Moralic's good in this tier, but I don't see them winning, if that makes any sense. I think Waffle wins. I really do think Waffle just will win in this matchup. Yeah. Even though they have a disappointing 1-2 record so far, I think this is the comeback. I think Waffle is winning. Next up is Cam of Chaos, Velcroc versus the Hisui region. Man, poor Velcroc has been getting some goated players and could only muster up at least 1 win so far, I think. Yeah, they've won against Advata in week 2. Against the Hisui region, though, I don't think they'll win because I think Hisui region's better, so I'm gonna pick THR. Sorry, Velcroc. SS Cap, X-Guardian versus Mentality. First time we're seeing X-Guardian here. Mentality after, 1v1, playing SS Cap. It should be a fun one. But it seems like X-Guardian could show up to work here. I don't know how well Mentality will go. I'm not confident in it. So I'm just going to say X-Guardian, but only slightly. Let's just see how much I'll play. Usum RU, we have Gulch versus Seth. Both players are kind of stuck in this limbo here, so I don't know. Gulch is good. Seth's also good. I think Gulch is 1-2, and I think Seth is also... Oh, Seth is winless. Yikes. I think they can pull off their first win here if they can try, but Gulch looks stronger in defeat, I think. I'm gonna go Gulch. Sorry, Seth. I think the losing streak will continue. And now, time for the matchup of the century. In Oras UU, we got Bambador versus TTK. I like these two players. These are two good players. In Oras UU, this is their home tier. This is their home tier advantage. And it really is just see who is the better player of the two. I expect this game to go 200 turns. I really do expect this game to go as long as possible. So I'm thinking Bambador has been doing great. 3-0 currently. And while TTK lost last week, he looked very strong in defeat. So I'm thinking, yeah, out of sheer thing, I think I'm going Bambadoro. Yeah, I think I'm going Bambadoro on this one. Bambadoro should win over TTK, but I won't be surprised if TTK wins. I really am not. Black and White Ubers, we got Kaizen versus Society. Both players are very good in Black and White Ubers so far. Kaizen has been showing up. Society's also been very they're very devoted to this tier. So I'm very curious to see how these two will perform. I think I'm gonna give this one to Kaizen. I think Kaizen's been showing up to work more, and they've been showing better performances than Society. So it's going to be a Kaizen win. And last but not least, DPP 1v1, Stravench versus Burn. Burn is currently tied with 1-1. Well, poor Stravench hasn't got a single win so far in DPP 1v1. Come on, Stravench. Let's win. Let's win one. Let's win one for once. I ain't gonna pick Burn though. Sorry, Stravench. As much as I am rooting for you, but I think Burn will win. Sorry. So that's the end of the week 4 predicts. I really cannot wait to see how the matchups will fare, especially with Urban Double versus Radioactive Slagoose and Darmani Down versus General Lunalas. Those are the two matches to watch. This one, not so much, but there are some cool matches in here, so I'm going to keep a lookout on all of them. But until then, thank you all for watching. Please like this video, leave a comment, and subscribe. Click the notification bell so you won't miss a video once it comes out. And I'll see you next week when we tackle Week 4 predicts, Week 4 recap, and Week 5 predicts. This has been McCoy, signing out.